Welcome to the episode that will answer all of your Reds questions. Well, then again, probably not. But anyway, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Tom.
I'm Kim.
You guys pick it up a little bit there.
I couldn't remember.
There was a big pause. Am I on a second? Well, that's like their Reds batting order. Nobody knows where they're batting from day to day anyway, so it moves around so much. So anyway, we're the Three Old Reds fans coming to you from Studio 82, just down the street from our good friends at Beans in the heart of Cedarville, the famous birthplace and final resting place of Reds legend Bumpus Jones. Be sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app or website and leave us a review. Anywhere you do that, please leave us a review. And if you're on iTunes, make it a 5-star. And I don't know about all the other ones. Maybe they're 4 or 5-star too. But do that. Help other people find us. That'd be cool. And our podbean.com website, you can support us. Nobody is yet, but maybe you could be the first for as little as $1 a month.
It's a great investment.
It's a great investment. Absolutely. So, guys,
this is an exciting podcast.
The last time we talked, we were talking about the season about to start, and now it's pretty far in here.
25 games to be exact. Did any of us expect 5-20?
We are 5-20. No, I did not.
No way.
This is the worst 25 game start in Reds history. If you remember when we talked last time, they were off to that 2 and whatever start, and I said, well, and we had 6-15. Was it 6-19? Four times they went 6-19.
It's like 1931 was the last worst record.
31, 34, 50, and 86. And then in 86, they actually turned it around and won 86 games with Rose and Parker and those guys. But I don't know if that's going to happen this year.
Yeah, they don't have a Rose or a Parker.
So, yeah, off to the bad start, and then Bryan Price gets fired. What did we think of that decision?
I feel bad for Bryan Price because I don't think anybody thinks it was his fault, but it was a move by the organization to say, we're not going to be satisfied with this bad start. We are going to do something. So I think that's what prompted them to make the move.
Right, and I think it did too. What did you think of it, Kim?
I don't disagree with any of that. I guess I look at that as a superficial issue. In other words, Tom, your comment, we're not satisfied with the start. Well, for me, I'm not satisfied with what we've seen from leadership.
Can't agree more.
The office, and I don't put it on Dick Williams. I put it all on Jockety, and who's the owner, Castellini?
Yeah.
Those two. They have. I think one of y'all said it when we heard Price was let go. There's no plan in place.
Right.
They're scrambling who's going to be the manager. And And so, I felt for Price because he had no tools to work with all along. So,
and I think what we've all talked about is there's some really good young talent coming up from Winker, and Suarez is now going to be a great player, and
Senzel soon.
We got Senzel, we hope, and Hunter. I think we have some good foundation there.
Shed long.
But what we're not doing is giving Joey Votto any help, right? I mean, Duvall, while he's a solid player, is not the leader that they need on the. He's young. Duvall's a young guy.
Well, they're all under. Yeah, he's in his 20s.
Yeah.
So late 20s.
I think that's probably why they had Bronson stay around last year, right? To provide that experience, but
yeah. So it's interesting that you talked about not having a plan in place, which I think means that they were committed to Bryan Price going the season. They didn't think anything that they didn't see this coming. They didn't think that was going to happen at all.
Agreed.
And so they decided, let's make a change. For whatever reasons. They give you reasons, but if you listen to them talk, they really don't say anything very specific. They talk a lot. It's kind of like politicians.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they don't have a plan in place, I'm kind of okay with the more I think about it, because I want them to go out and find somebody who can really manage and who isn't managing in the 1980s anymore and is thinking more like today, because I think we had that with Dusty. Dusty would never use Chapman more than 3 outs, for instance.
Right.
He would never do that. Price would not. Price was similar in that regard. He would use Iglesias a little more, but, he wouldn't put, unless they were Riggleman's the same way. He said he was asked about his bullpen usage, and he's hemmed and hawed a little bit, and he's talked about Peralta, Iglesias, and I guess Garrett right now. I think it was the third one. When are you going to use them? Well, when we're tied or ahead. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, how often does that happen? How often does that happen with this team in the first place? That's why you're not seeing very many innings out of those guys. The other night it was a game last week. I think it was one of Riggleman's early first games, and they're down 1 or 2 runs in the seventh, and they bring in Quackenbush, and all of a sudden it's a 9-4 game or whatever. They blew them out. It's like it's just I want somebody who will we're in the game. Let's put good guys in the game. Let's not just put somebody else in there and wait and hope we get tied, and then we'll use our good guys. Well, let's keep the game close. Just thinking a little differently like that. I mean,
but Jeff, a manager is not going to turn around the Cincinnati Reds.
No, he's not.
It's not going to come from the manager.
He's not. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that when we have the players to be better, I want a manager in place who will manage well and not do stuff like that doesn't make sense to me.
So I'm interested from you two guys, Kim and Jeff, the whole sabermetric stuff and the turn to managing by stats, by metrics. There's a young group of managers now. Philadelphia manager Boone with the Yankees. There's another guy I can't remember. There's a group of the Dodgers manager. They're heavy into the sabermetrics for their decisions. So do you think this is a trend for the future? Are we going to see this and we're not going to have the gut managers anymore, the Dusty Bakers?
Well, I don't know. How much was it gut in the... I don't know how gut it was then. I think they always had percentages they played.
Well, maybe it's not gut, but it's baseball 101.
Right, and they're playing different percentages. The game, there's nothing wrong with the game changing. I mean, it does change. I mean, nobody, if a starter gets you 5 or 6, that's about par for the course anymore. There's a few guys that go deeper who are the very best pitchers at times, and they'll go deeper. But other than that, I mean, you saw Molly the other day. I mean, he gets through 6, he can't handle a 7th inning.
Done.
He's never done it. All the way up through the minors, he's never pitched that deep in games.
He's had a perfect no-hitter.
Okay, never. He did once, but as a rule, those guys don't pitch deep in games coming up. And so
Kim, I'm interested.
I think I want to see. I don't want it to be all about analytics and math, but I mean it's always been the righty versus lefty righty stuff. That's the same thing in a way. I mean that's playing percentages, right?
Not always. Depends on the pitcher and the hitter.
But okay, depends. There might be times you go against that, but you do it for a really good reason. So I like a mixture of both. Know your talent. Sometimes. Guy's hot. Maybe the book says pinch hit him or pinch hit for him, but he's red hot. Let him bat. I'm okay with that type of stuff.
I'm surprised to hear you say that because you're a big sabermetrics guy.
Well, I don't know if I'm a big sabermetrics guy. I mean, I think it's interesting, and I think you have to pay attention to it. I think if you don't, there's a problem. But I think, some of the stuff about the lineup's different all the time. We can't decide on a leadoff hitter. Schebler and Winker are swinging the bat well, and Hamilton or Duvall or not. Why aren't Hamilton and Duvall being the platoon guys and let the other 2 guys play every day while they're hot? So Schebler comes back, plays 3 days, hits a big home run one night, and the next day he's out of the lineup. Does that make any sense?
Nope.
Kim, what do you think about this? What kind of manager do you think the Reds will get?
You see Moneyball and you see the value of the thinking.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that needs to be adopted by teams on that, and a lot have. You can never take out the hunch, the gut feeling, as y'all said. You play your percentages. If that's a guy that's all about hunches, it's a guy all about metrics, so be it. Just get a guy who's winning. Now, I do want to respond to something you said, that Bryan Price and Dusty, you looked at them the same.
I think they're about the same.
I'm going to disagree. Let me tell you why. When Dusty brought up Billy Hamilton, I think the first series against Pittsburgh, for the most part, all that Billy did was pinch run. That's it. The lineup was always the same. When Bryan took over, Billy played right away. I think Billy even started right away.
Yeah, that was about the same. That happened at the same time.
What managers do you see that will take a leadoff hitter and put, other than our friend from Chicago?
Madden, he did some of that. Okay, I'll give him a little credit for doing a little bit, but I don't.
I'm telling you, Dusty would not have batted the pitcher 8th.
I agree with you.
Dusty would not have had a Schebler, a Winker in the leadoff spot. It is so non-traditional, yes. But my comment was at least Bryan Price was trying things to make a move.
Well, I don't disagree that they're different in some ways. I think when it comes to pitching, handling pitching, they're pretty much the same. And I think he's done a little bit more, but I also see a guy who can't make up his mind what to do with Billy. And that's a tough one. I mean, you want Billy to be that leadoff guy, but
I think late inning defensive replacement.
What was it last night? Did I text you guys on Billy and it was that pitch and it was just way out of the zone. He swung it and I texted, doesn't this guy ever watch film?
I agree.
Does he watch film just to watch himself? Oh, here's what I said to you guys to remind me the other night to talk about it because it's too long to text. Billy so many times, and you love it that he's having fun, okay? But how many times have you seen him swing and miss and walk back to it, and he's got this big smile on his face? And I would rather have, and Winker did this last night. Winker hit a pop-up, and he probably said the F word, which I don't like. But he was mad, and he slammed the bat down. Votto, when he does that, he does say the F word, he slams the bat down. I would rather have a guy who is that intense, and they will go back, and they will be watching film and working at getting better and taking counsel on being in batting practice. I just don't see that in Billy Hamilton. All I see is, yes, I know I'm good in the outfield. I know I can cover ground better than anyone else in Major League Baseball, and I know I can run. There's probably no one better than me, and if I'd stayed healthy the past 2 years, I would be the stolen base king. Those are my strengths. I'm going to go with it. And I just don't get the feeling, and I hate saying that, but I don't know. But I just don't get the feeling that he is a student of the game and will study to get better where he needs to get better.
I think that's valid.
Well, I think the evidence suggests that. I mean, we can't prove that that's true.
A professorial comment, you know that?
What's that? What I just
what
said?
You just said? You're professorial.
Well, it's
literally.
Literally, I am. However, well, you just threw me off. That's a big word for you. You're just all jazzed because the Jets just picked Sam Darnold.
Oh,
that's what you're jazzed about.
I am. I've got to admit.
At any rate, I think what is happening with Billy, to give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, I'll just play the other side of it. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'll just play the other side of it. I think that's his personality. Billy is a positive, fun-loving guy, and that's his personality. That's like I equate that I equate that to nervous laughter.
But so was Joe Morgan. But Joe Morgan, he was serious.
Yeah, I just wonder that's his personality. Is he in the film room studying? Is he working as hard as he can? Maybe he is, and maybe he's just not that good.
Yeah, maybe he just can't make the adjustments.
Maybe he's just not the talent, the hitting talent that those other guys are. I mean, that's very possible. Now, if he's not working at it, my thought was if he's not really applying himself and trying, I think they'd have cut him loose if they saw that in him. That's what I wonder.
See,
I just wonder if that's just who he is.
My gut feel is, he knows his strengths, and he's none better in the outfield, none better than running the bases. And it's hard to let go of that. But I agree with your comment. Why not have Winker and Schebler and those other two,
platoon
rotate?
I mean, if you look at
if you believe Duvall's batting average,
but if you believe in the WAR stat, wins above replacement, the last year, I mean, Billy and Duvall, their WAR, and probably this year, I haven't looked at it, they're essentially the same. So really, even though most people would say Duvall last year, or whatever, was a better player than Hamilton because of the 100 RBIs,
mm-hmm.
you get the same value out of either one. You just get it in different ways and in different things. Does that make sense?
Well,
overall
let me ask you
value
this.
is fairly even. It's just you get different things from one guy and different things from the other. And there's a lot of stuff you don't get from either one of them.
If Duvall could hit my 270,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say if Duvall could hit 260s and do the 25 to 30 homers,
It'd be amazing.
and do the 90 to 100 RBIs with his defense,
And
I'd
do it
take
more consistently.
But right now, he is just almost an automatic out at the plate. Billy, if Billy could bat 260, walk, get on base,
Bunch.
I would take it. Now, you said earlier, okay, some things to talk about. A little positive. I have to say Peraza has been a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, he's
Did
playing.
you see the stat the other night that he leads the major leagues, or he had the longest consecutive at-bats without striking out?
Right.
A shocker.
Well, that's...
I-
he's playing, and he's playing a good shortstop.
Yes. And so you got Eugenio
Playing
back,
a far better
playing at
shortstop
third.
than Scooter plays second base.
But Riggleman scares me that he's a little bit too much of that traditional mindset.
Yeah,
Okay,
I hope he's not the manager long term.
I'd be shocked.
Okay, but
I'd be
guys,
shocked.
so we're changing the
The
subject a little bit.
Browns will take Baker Mayfield first. Okay.
Yeah, and then-
oh wait,
They
Never mind.
did, and they just made a very intelligent pick by drafting Denzel Ward from Ohio State.
When
So.
pigs fly, or when the Browns take Baker Mayfield first. Oh,
Yeah,
they did.
yeah.
So we're dancing around here, guys. The problem with the Reds is not what managers in the dugout.
Well, I know.
It's not It's not Billy or the outfield rotation.
No, those are all symptoms of the big problem.
The problem is we have AA and AAA players that are on half
many.
the team and half the pitching staff.
Right.
That they should still be in the minor leagues right now, developing.
Right, we've had to develop pitchers at the major league level because the ones we had got old, like Bronson Arroyo, and can't pitch anymore. Homer missed almost all of last season.
Last couple of seasons.
Yeah, and well, I'm thinking of like last year and this year, but you're right, last couple. Sclafani is like missing in
Past
action.
season and a half.
He's like, he could be on the other side of the world. Nobody'd know it. Finnegan's missed a lot of time. Finally looked like he might be finding himself a little bit the other night,
Yeah, a
but
little bit.
just a little. I mean, hey, let's look for something positive. But yeah, so that's part of it. I mean, that's why we've got these guys up there, and because we won't go out and bring anybody in.
Yes, so that's
the
where I
other
wanted to
one.
go next. So what would prove to you guys that the Reds really care about winning? To me, it's you got to go out and spend some money.
The next off
You got-
season.
Perfect. I
Next
agree.
off
You gotta-
season.
Tom, you and I are agreeing a lot more lately than we ever have. But I
during the
agree.
year, during this year, if we want to put people in the seats instead of the 70 people that seem to be behind
Agreed.
the backstop
Agreed.
every night,
I can't
pay
disagree at all.
the money, make aggressive trades, sign some people that are about to go into free agent or whatever, and act like you care about winning.
Well, we goofed up last year big time when we should have traded Cozart if we could have gotten anything for him. Instead, we
He
let
got
him go
hurt.
for nothing.
I think my gut
He
feels
was
they were
hurt.
going to,
Well,
but then he got hurt at the wrong
that could
time.
be true. That could be true. I mean, that's just some bad luck. I mean, that's what
Right.
we've had a lot of bad luck.
Billy might be a good trade bait for somebody that has a gap in center field, or
Scooter.
Scooter might be as well.
Because you're going to bring. All right,
I mean,
Blandino's been hitting the ball well.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
He
He
still
got off
needs
to a
to be in
bad
the minor
start.
leagues.
Oh, agreed. But Tom, my point is, okay, you get rid of Scooter, you have Senzel in the infield, you have Blandino as a backup. You've got positions covered in the infield. You really do. And Scooter is probably going to yield you more in return,
Man, probably
other
is.
than Votto, than anyone else, at least that I can think of.
Maybe Iggy.
I was thinking position player.
Yeah.
Yes, Iggy for sure.
About the only kind of trades that get made anymore are prospects for good players.
Well,
It's
no,
about-
late in the season they'll fill in open spots.
Yeah,
But
you can. But for the most part, it's that. So I'm not willing to give up prospects. I'm not willing to trade Senzel or Long or Trammell or Siri or I'll trade
Or
Robert
Castillo.
Yeah, I'll trade Robert Stevenson, but who wants that guy?
But
So,
go back to
you know,
Tom's comment, to answer your question, he answered it for me. What will give us faith that the Reds are serious about winning? Spending money, because they had their chance with Christian Yelich, and they didn't do anything.
well, Marlins were having a
Fire sale.
Fire-
Well, I
So-
mean,
And
yeah,
the Reds didn't do anything about it.
What did the Brewers give up for him? I don't remember.
I don't know, but remember the Brewers also got the guy from Philadelphia.
Yeah, and the question is, did the Brewers and the Cardinals got Ozuna? Did the Reds I wonder if the Reds actively pursued and made offers and got outbid, or did they just sit back and do nothing?
I suspect,
We'll never know.
based on the small market.
And I suspect too that we got less to offer people because of right now we're paying for a farm system that got really bad for a few years.
Yes.
We're paying for that,
Under Jocketty's direction.
Yeah, and whoever else. It got really bad, and so now we're paying for it. We're right at the point now where the farm system is looking pretty good. It's one of the higher rated ones in baseball now, I think. I don't know the number that it gets, but I know that it is seen that way. What do we do? Do we go through 2 more years of this waiting for that? Do we trade any of that and try for a quick fix?
They're going to lose their fan base.
Well, they already have. I mean, but the thing is,
but 2 more years.
Thing is as soon as they do win, they'll all come back. I mean, do you think anybody was going to Astros games when they were losing 110 games?
It's interesting. The Braves.
Lynn Howard was going.
Yeah, twice a year when he went down.
They said today's game the attendance was 42,000. How could that be?
For who?
For today's Reds games.
Wow.
Those tickets sold.
I don't know. It was a special.
Well,
it was a noon game, so.
Oh, it's capacity.
That's
Sorry.
Capacity. You looked at the capacity. Yeah.
11,900.
11,000.
Even that's surprising.
Yeah, because it was under 10 the other night when they actually won a game. So, what do you like about this team besides Joey Votto? The silence is deafening.
That's really hard.
Okay. We all love Votto. It's been really hard watching him struggle. It's been nice the past 3 games to see him actually hitting the ball further. But I love watching Winker. I like your guy, Shebs.
Yeah, he's hitting the
if
ball.
If he can stay healthy.
Hard.
I like him. Peraza, I mentioned about him. He seems to be... He's making strides. He's improving.
Okay. Suarez
and the fact that they have him locked up for several years.
All right. You like Barnhart?
Thankful for that. Of course. Who doesn't?
You like Barnhart.
Now, they will free up a lot of money after this year with Mesoraco because they had him to a higher contract. So really, Joey and Scooter. And isn't Scooter done after this year with his contract? Yes. Or does he have one more year?
This is it.
This is it.
Huh?
This is his last year under contract.
So they'll free up some money, but will they go out and get someone? Because the one thing you cannot discount is having senior leadership, veteran leadership, in
the right
on a bench,
leadership. The right
either
senior.
any sport, yes, any sport, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, with a team of youngins. And you just look at what we have now, and we just don't have anything in place that's done it. I think Bronson Arroyo
there's no good vocal
was
leadership
a
on this
good
team.
person on the bench, but.
Because he had won. He'd won.
Yeah, but he doesn't play anymore. That only goes so far.
When they picked up Scott Rowland, when they picked up Buddy Bell, those players brought something to the team that was sorely missing.
Well, maybe they'll find somebody like that next year. Maybe it'll be a pitcher. I don't know. But there's no. If there was a simple answer to this, the Reds would be 15 or whatever, 20-5 instead of 5-20. But there's
I'll take 12 and 13.
We'd still be fussing.
10 and 15. Oh, we'd be a lot happier.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as bad. Okay. Well, I don't know if we saw anything else, but
now you're going to see Hiunter Greene.
I'm going to see Hiunter Greene Friday, which is tomorrow. We're taping this on Thursday night. He's going to be available to the media at 5 o'clock, and I'm covering for Dayton Daily News all weekend, all 3 games, and so he's going to be available for that. So we'll be talking to him, and I'll get a story online real quick because the story of the game that night doesn't make it till the Sunday paper, and he's pitching Saturday night. So we'll do an online story, what he has to say, because he got shelled the other night. He didn't get out of the first inning, gave up 7 runs
I saw
on Monday. So, that's going to happen for a young guy like that, obviously. And so it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. I get to watch him pitch Saturday night. I assume he'll be available to talk to reporters after the game Saturday night. I know they are managing his time. They're not letting people come in every day and talk to him, but I think day before a game, night of a game, I think they're going to do that on a pretty regular basis. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. It'll be be fun to see him in person. I'll have a good seat there in press box right behind home plate, so it'll be good to see that and see what he does. So looking forward to that. Our trivia question last week, names on the back of uniforms, you came up with the first time. Nobody can find the answer, so if anybody knows the answer to that, let us know.
It was the trivia question of the game that Marty did.
Give us a tweet or a Facebook page. Let us know if you happen to know the answer to that. I thought let's bring back throwback thing this week, and we'll do this as our last segment here. And I got to thinking, this season is so bad so far. I mean, it could get better. They're not going to be this bad all year. They can't be. That would be like a record for most losses ever.
Don't say that.
They've got to get better, because I think overall there's some things that are better. It's just not enough. It's so much inconsistency. But anyway, 1970. Now, we don't remember that very well, if at all.
I was 4.
Okay, so who was the manager? Sparky Anderson. So they won the West. Do you know how many games they won that year? Do you remember? Have you ever seen that?
I don't know, 199?
102.
I was going to say 102.
Wow.
I was going to say that.
And, of course, they lost to the Orioles in 5 games
It's
in the
like
World Series.
76 was like that much too, right?
Right. So they lost to the Orioles in the World Series in 5 games, which is most famous for Brooks Robinson making
play
all
after
kinds
play
of play
after
after play at third base. That team, you think of that as a veteran team, but think about the ages of some of those players, and I found this really interesting. How old do you think the oldest regulars on that team were?
We know Bench was 22.
Yeah. How old was Pete Rose?
Pete had to have been about 28.
He was 29.
29.
He and Tommy Helms, they came up together, as I recall. They were both 29.
Tony Perez was not that old.
No, Tony.
What was he, about 25?
He was like 26 or 27, something like that. I don't have all the ages in front of me, but so Bench was his first MVP award, and Kim rattled off the stats earlier. What are they?
45, 148, and a 293 BA.
Yeah, and a
148
and a 932 OPS, which they didn't count back then. But
what was his WAR?
What's OPS now?
On base plus slugging.
Okay.
So that's his on-base average percentage plus his slugging percentage. Joey often is up around 1,000 or a little more. So 932 is getting it done.
Yes, it is.
Tony Perez was third in MVP voting that year.
Third?
Third. 40 homers, 129 RBIs, and he batted .317.
Wow.
And I'm going to guess Lee May. Was that when Lee May had 28, 29 homers?
No, he had 34. And he drove in 94.
Wow, that's a murderous row right there.
Those 3 guys, that's why they won 102 games. I mean, that's a big part of it.
When Rose was leading
and these
off,
guys
right?
were all in their 20s. They're all in their 20s. So we look at our team and say, oh, we're still young, but a lot of our guys are the similar ages to these guys, if not older. And these guys were obviously better players by far. Pete actually hit 15 homers that year. Was the ball juiced in 1970? I don't know. Bob Gibson won the Cy Young that year, so it couldn't have been too juiced. He batted .316, had 205 hits, and he was 7th in MVP voting. So they had 3 players in the top 7 MVP voting.
He hit .326.
Yeah, .316. Bernie Carbo was 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting that year. He hit 21 homers, drove in 63, and batted .310. Bobby Tolan,
right fielder. Led the National League in stolen bases with 57.
57. He also batted .316, hit 16 homers, and drove in 80.
Picked him up from the Padres, I think.
Yeah,
so
possibly.
Bench won the MVP and didn't hit 300, but we had 1, 2, 3, 4 guys hit better average than he did.
Right. But he was the batting cleanup 45.
And his defense.
His defense, it was incredible. So the pitching staff. The wins leader that year was Jim Merritt. He went 20-12 with a 4.08, and he was only 26. He threw 234 innings. Gary Nolan was only 22. He went 18-7 with a 3.27.
That's before his injury.
Yeah,
he was a fireballer,
and he threw 250 innings. Jim McLaughlin was 14-10 with a 3.59, and he was 26, and he was over 200 innings. Wayne Simpson was only 21. Of course, his arm blew out maybe that year or the next year, I guess. He was 14-3 with a 3.02. And then the fourth guy that had the fourth most starts, they all had like over 20 starts. The three main guys had like 30-some starts. Tony Cloninger, he was 9-7 with a 3.83, and he was 29. So they had no starters over
20.
They were all in their 20s. Even their relief corps. Wayne Granger had 35 saves with a 266. He was only 26. Clay Carroll had 16 saves with a 225.
The Hawk.
Yeah, he was 29, so he was the elder statesman. Merritt was fourth in the Cy Young. As I said, Bob Gibson won it that year. And like in the top 7 or 8 guys in the Cy Young voting, 4 of them are Hall of Famers. Fergie Jenkins, Gibson, Seaver was like 7th, and there's another one up there that was a Hall of Famer. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then another guy that pitched out of the bullpen, which how many times have we talked about? I brought up the fact that guys used to come up and sort of work their way into the rotation out of the bullpen. Who was 19 and pitched out of the bullpen that year?
For the Reds? And he later became a starter?
42 relief appearances, made 2 starts, had a 2.43 ERA. He was 19 years old.
No idea. Righty or lefty?
You can say a righty, aren't you?
Don Gullett.
It was Gullett?
Really? He was 19 in 1970.
Yeah, he was a phenom. He really was. But they had
incredible athlete.
Great athlete.
They had arm troubles back then too. I mean that team. That's why Sparky got blamed for a lot of that.
Well,
and then when they won the World Series, he became Captain Hook, and he wasn't going to burn any arms out anymore.
Well, they had Wayne Merritt,
Jim Merritt
got injured.
Yeah.
And Simpson get injured. They had a lot of it. You're right. They had a lot of injuries.
Struggled.
Who's the general manager back there for the Reds?
Bob Housen.
Was it Hausman?
I don't know what year he took over, but
Well,
he's the one that built the. He's the one that built. He's the one that made the big trade in '72 because '71 they had a bad year, so they made all these trades, brought Morgan in and all that.
Talk about a bold guy. Look at that.
And that really changed things because he traded Lee May, he traded Tommy Helms, and it was a bit controversial at the time.
Traded Woody Woodward too.
Yeah, and Woodward and Concepcion basically split time at shortstop that year.
Was it Woodward?
Yeah.
And remember who he got Woodward for? George Foster.
Yeah. That was the Foster trade, and he got him from the Giants. So anyway, so that's sort of our, it can be done with young guys and guys in their 20s, which the Astros really proved last year because I bet you most of those Astros are in their 20s. I don't know how old Altuve is, but but a lot of those guys are young, and that's what you got to do it with. I mean, really the best players in baseball right now, for the most part, are in their 20s. Harper, Trout. This Acuna guy looks like a stud that just came up for the Braves. Did you see how far he hit that home run today?
Yes, I saw it on replay.
He crushed it.
You see the kid picked it up, put it in his backpack, and ran out.
He was all excited.
And someone said,
I hate to see
"Where's he going?" And they said, "To the negotiations."
I hate to see a Reds fan get that excited about getting a home run from another guy, but it was
his first
it was
homer.
Acuna's first homer, and this guy could be a superstar. So I get that, and he's fast too. He's fast.
Oh boy, I did not realize the Braves were as prolific in offense as they are until this series.
And also,
Freddie Freeman's a machine. That guy just hits.
Yeah, he's amazing.
It's like he comes up and gets a hit every time.
Inciarte.
Yeah, he's really good, and he's a good center fielder.
Suzuki.
Inciarte made 2 great plays off the wall, like that play where Duvall was out, but then they replayed it and reversed it, and the guy missed. The guy was too high with the tag and missed him. Let him get in under it.
Mm-hmm.
They took him out of the game after that too. That catcher didn't. Enough's enough.
Enough's enough.
Let's go tag on the base, not the person.
Right, and that's what he did, and he blew it. So, okay, guys. Well, I thought we'd end on that kind of nice memory of a team that can really get it done. And I think this rebuild is obviously not even close to being done, and I don't know that this version of the rebuild will be anything that ever gets us into the playoffs. I think we're going to have to. I think there's going to be a bit of a reset to this at some point. Mm-hmm. There's going to have to be.
Yep.
Unless we're willing to sit here and do nothing for 2 more years.
Honestly, there's going to be a time where they have to give up on people, right?
Yeah.
They're going to have to.
Well, yeah, and it's getting close on that for Hamilton
Yep.
and Duvall. And dude, Duvall having 2 nice years and then not doing much after that in your 20s, that's not unheard of in baseball. There's a lot of guys that like have a couple good years and then they just sort of never do anything.
Duvall was after the All-Star game in 2 consecutive years. That's the
But
problem.
I mean, when you
with
look
Duvall.
at sort of, I guess what I'm saying is when you look at like, oh, those are nice numbers for a whole season, which they are for the most part.
But he
And then,
petered out
and then
less.
you could look a lot of guys over the course of the history of baseball, like, man, they're 26, they're looking good, and by the time they're 30, they're done. They just don't have it anymore. And I don't know why that happens to guys, but it does. It's that able to be good over a long period of time is difficult. So I think in 2 years from now, you'll see Winker and maybe Schebler in the outfield and somebody else. I don't think you're going to see Hamilton in our outfield. I don't think you're going to see Duvall in our outfield.
Taylor Trammell. What position is Taylor Trammell?
He's an outfielder, yeah. He and Siri are outfielders.
I think there's a good chance we'll see him.
Could see one of them. You're going to see Senzel in the lineup somewhere. You might still see Peraza. You're going to see Suarez and Votto. You might see Shed Long's hitting like 350 right now or something crazy starting the season. You might see, who knows? I mean, Tucker Barnhart, catching could take a toll, and in 2 years he might not be the same. And we got another young guy coming up to catch. You just don't know. But then Tucker could be good for. But Tucker could, Tucker could give us a good 6 seasons. So you just don't know. Anyway, all right. Well, we'll wrap it up. We won't drag it on forever. Anyway, so in keeping with our low expectations for this team,
Which have gotten lower.
the next time you hear from us, hopefully the Reds will have won a series, which we were hopeful for today.
Hey, we have swept the Cubs.
We swept the Cubs in a 1-game series, but officially win a series. But if not, we'll still have something to look forward to. I don't know what it'll be, but we'll have something.
Great seats.
Great
seats when we go.
If you want to go, it's
and
great
make
seats.
our debut.
You don't have to go to StubHub anymore.
Good seats are still available. They're good seats in terms of close to the field, but I don't know how good they are if you got to watch this team play. So we'll see. Anyway, until next time, go Reds.
Go Reds.